this is Joe Rosser.
Hello.
And he's the frontman for Mask of Virtue, Fly the Train, Help Me Out Here, Aliases, and one of the vocalists for SikTh. Now, we said that we were going to cover a lot of different ground in terms of music industry, how it's worked, what's changed, is it bad, is it good, and what things are actually worth investing in nowadays. So, and a lot of people were also asking questions about how you first got into music as well. So, I mean, can you just touch on that a little bit more for us?
Okay, so basically, as my life starts in the musical realm, I weren't really musical until I thought, yeah, I'm going to play some guitar. So, guitar was my main sort of place that I went to, and I first started playing guitar when I was, 8, 9, lessons at school, pretty boring, pretty useless, pretty crap, and then after I left primary school, went to secondary school, I got private lessons, and that is how I started my musical endeavours. Not even touch singing, nothing, just play guitar.
When was it that you started going into vocal training?
Well, I've never had any formal vocal training, but I got into like jam nights and stuff like that. During my secondary school period, I'd finished my guitar lessons, my private guitar lessons, and I thought, yeah, sod it, I'll go to jam nights and do all that business. And
we've got a question. What question? Best musician ever?
Who's that from?
Who's going live on YouTube? No, not on YouTube, you idiot. I told you this last night.
Is that what it is?
Hey, that's Gareth. It's Gareth. We've got Gareth Smith joining us.
Mum says hello. Hi, Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Mum.
Yeah, I used to work with Karen. So yeah, if she's watching, then hello and welcome to my glorious beer drinking life at the moment. But yeah, that's how I started basically. Just guitar.
Just guitar.
Just guitar.
Just guitar. I mean, did your mum have any influence on that with her being a singer?
Well, I used to go to gigs when I was a kid, like the one-off where obviously she couldn't find a babysitter. She was like, "Oh, come to a gig with us," like Skeggy and stuff like that, long distance. So I'd go with her. But I never thought about being a musician, like being a kid. Like before I even played guitar, I never thought, "Oh yeah, I want to be a musician." Just my mum were a singer, that were it.
Wow.
Which is weird. Like I never even thought to myself, "Oh, yeah."
I mean, that's something that we've known each other for God knows how many years, and that even that then is like something where I've like, you never actually thought that you'd be a musician.
No, I never thought about it. Not even once, never mind twice. So I just one day turned around to my mum and just said that when I was at primary school, like year 5, I said like I just want to play guitar, and there was some shit guitar lessons going.
Right. Okay. Oh well.
So
there's some shit guitar lessons going.
You know. Shit. Like.
Yeah, I suppose it's any stepping stone's a stepping stone, isn't it? Really, when you think about it.
There were shit lessons, but they got me to where I am now because I wouldn't have took private lessons with the the little bit that I got out of that, and because it made me want to do it more, and I was just like, shit, I want to get like private guitar lessons.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, let's touch on your projects a little bit, what you've been working on now. Obviously, everybody around Sheffield or maybe even South Yorkshire area know about or know of Mask of Virtue. We know that you're working on new material, which obviously we're not going to disclose anything at this moment in time because you'll release that when it needs to be released. But let's talk about your other stuff, like your time with Rising Records. Oh wow! So that response right there is so. What exactly happened with that? So we know that. Well, I know anyway that you signed a record deal with Rising Records. It was supposed to be the recording and distribution of your first album, In This World.
It's supposed to be.
supposed to be.
Supposed to be. He's in Barbados.
It did get a obviously a digital release, but what was the story behind that?
So, around the time that we signed the contract, which was all self-explanatory, it was we pay the studio time, they cover the marketing, they cover the the basic stuff that record labels cover.
Yeah.
But we basically cover whatever the cost is to track, and we got sent to Little Clacton, which is down in Essex for all you non-geography people. We went to Little Clacton and realised that this guy was basically ripping off bands left, right, and centre, because it were like it, and that was the time where a lot of companies were doing this. It's not wrong to do this, like it isn't. We just got tied into the wrong side of it. A lot of people will know of Mark Dagon and Rising Records, and he worked with Cradle of Filth, he worked with Bleed From Within, and Trigger the Bloodshed and stuff like that, like the heavier bands. And it was really strange because he had all this potential to make loads of money out of these bands, which, quite frankly, it's a business, do whatever you fucking want. But the main problem he had was he'd already got himself in that much shit that he needed to flee the country. Now, we were due to leave on the 21st of December, 22nd he was flying to Barbados.
Right, okay.
With everything in the studio. Everything. He had guys coming around on the day that we were leaving, packing his shit up. And we were like, right, this is a bit weird. So, he packed up and left for Barbados, and we had about 2 phone calls with him after that because we never received the physical release of the album. And then after that, there was a warrant out for his arrest in the UK if he ever returns, because he'd been laundering money, he'd been ripping people off. Countless laws were broken with him.
What? So and he'd actually kind of got away with that as well then?
Yeah, well, he'd already cashed the. Put it this way: if you're a guy that's charging bands, $7.5 grand to record. Well, actually, it was $7.5 grand for us. I mean, that's cheap if you want to record an album. But is it cheap to someone who you don't know with a subpar studio and everything that's going on? So, I was like, right, what's this fucking bullshit? So, this guy had basically taken us into this rented property, which I'll get onto in a minute. This rented property. With all this, he had like some Focusrite preamps which were worth a few grand, and a fucking desk that never got used and shit. I've sat in front of a pair of speakers. He had a guy from another band called Phil, he was great, to be honest. He just took it on and he finished off.
Is that the guy who was in the other band?
The morning after.
Their album was called Legacy, weren't it?
Yeah.
And that was through Rising Records.
I tell you what, they got ripped off something fucking rotten as well as Bleed From Within, because I'm good fucking mates with them guys.
Oh, maybe we should get them on channel as well.
Yeah.
Bleed From Within.
Actually,
that's a good shout.
That's a good point. I'll have a word with them and see if they want to get on it, because there's a lot needs to be said about it. If they want to speak about it or not is up to them, but they'll quite understand where I'm coming from. Where they were a big band worth a lot of money. Like a lot of money.
They still are.
Yeah, but they're worth more than what they were worth back then. Like, even though the industry's changed and the popularity aspect has changed, and I can't comment on behalf of the popularity of the band, because obviously between the pandemic and between even me knowing their status as a band, everyone has their own realm. Every band has their own realm that they live in. There's not sort of it's not like the pop industry where it's like what's big now and everyone knows. It's a bit different. And to be honest with you, I never spoke with the guys about how well they were doing, or how well they felt they were doing. Which I think is fair to say.
I were also. I didn't realise that he'd just had a kid, but I was also trying to get hold of Tom Watling.
Yeah.
From Silent Descent.
They got majorly
ripped off. I heard with that.
They were in like a half problem that we had, whereas they were established for 7 years and we'd only been going for 3 or 4 years at the time. But they'd already got a following, and they got screwed massively the same way, but a lot less money. than Bleed From Within did, because basically Mark was like, none of it. The first thing that Mark said to me when the company shut down was, Joe, it's been losing money for years, you got all the rights back to your fucking music, blah blah blah. It won't mess with me. Like, between me and you, it wouldn't fucking mess with me. Because he knew when I walked in through that fucking door, I was like, right, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to fucking track this, it's going to be perfect, it's going to be great. Like a professional would, you go into a studio, it's going to work. I know what my fucking grounds are. I'm paying, we're paying you £7,500 for this fucking album. You fucking give your end and give me respect, or we fucking walk. And we walk away with the masters. That's it. But I never even thought about it that seriously. It was just portrayed in that sort of non-spoken way. It was just like, you know what I'm about, so don't fucking bother with it. So that's how it works with him. And he's ripped off countless bands. Like, whoever's watching that fucking knows him is a fucking idiot. Like, the guy has gone to Barbados. He's fucked clean off. He's took everyone's money. He used this new DIY deal to his advantage. Now, we did a DIY deal with Aliases. It was a DIY deal, which was we cover, grounds on our end and they cover grounds on their end. And it was successful, and it wasn't really arguable what happened between us and Basic Records. It's not a bad or a good thing, it's just that that's the way it ended, because the relationship just kind of broke up. It dissolved because we weren't doing anything, which is understandable. That's on us, Basic Records. Like, I don't knock the guys at all. I think they're fucking great, and they always have been. Marley's always been fucking great with us. The main gaffer has always been fucking sound. He's always appreciated everything we've done. It was well on top of everything that when we decided to go with me to track the album here, and then we sent him everything that we'd done mix-wise, he was just like, fuck, we need to get this out. Like, it's mint. Like, sonically it sounds great. Like, musically it sounds great. And it were a big hit, but it kind of struggled from the marketing side of things and stuff like that. So DIY deals do exist and they do work. All it is somebody asking you to put half in and get half back, like, in its simplest form. That's what it is. Because music has become a place where it costs a lot of money, but also there's a lot of money to be made. Yeah. But these days, because of technology, I mean, look at where we are now. Do you know what I mean? Look, this fucking room that I'm in now, it might have took me a long time, but this equipment is here because it's accessible in this new age. There was a massive uprising of that in the late 2000s, where equipment become available. You got amp modeling, you got VSTs, fucking computers, and recording and shit like that. And because of that, it became more accessible, and that's what killed the industry. In that sense, it killed it. I mean, in terms of, it's probably put the need for record labels, whether they be big or small, kind of out of it now. I mean, we were talking about. It kind of puts them out of it, but This is the strange. The reason we're having this conversation now is a strange time to have this conversation, because over the last sort of 5 years, people have been chasing back to bigger studios, which is where the labels give their credit to, because they always expected a standard, and the standard in self-made music was never that high. It didn't reach commercial level. It was always great and fantastic, but it never reached, a full mixed and mastered product. So labels kind of sort of fell short of that and thought, well, people are doing it anyway, so why the fuck are we bothering fucking wasting money? We'll give 100 grand out to a band and this and that. So, and as well, like, the only place to make money was live music, but that got also diluted.
And COVID.
And COVID as well. But it's not even just the COVID. Like, before, it was struggling because there's so many bands that are doing it. Which, imagine I'm a businessman and I am running a record label, and let's say that for whatever reason I have something to do with the running of a festival, for example, and I'm, and I've got contacts, and I've been my peers gave me shit and shit like that, and I'm just like, oh yeah, by the way, we've got this fucking band that's emerging that's really popular, and it's like, yeah, but I can get like Iron Maiden for so much, and they can pull me all the money that we need back in sales, so that the management can make the money back on the money that downloader willing to pay them. So management are sorted from the big fee because it's, oh my god, you know, it's Maiden or something like that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, so Maiden have made us all our money, and then you've got like record labels that sat there going, no please, we just need a cut of it because recording music means absolutely fucking nothing anymore, and sales only means anything if it's really popular. You know, all the really big bands will sell a lot of music, but not in the same format that it was before.
Yeah.
Before you could sell a record and it would sell. People would go to a shop, buy a record. People would buy it online and it'd be a record. You know, this MP3 fucking 2000 shit, year 2000 shit is bollocks. It's gone. Like the whole takeover of the digital industry is gone. It's how we portray that industry in the digital age that makes the money. If your social media profile, for example, is really fucking vast, yeah, you'll make a profit off it because of the gain you get back off the fans. So anyone that says that it's a total nightmare, they're lying to themselves. They just don't want to jump into a new age. It's the same every time something new comes out. The way that music's recorded, the way that music's perceived live, it reoccurs all the time. It did get to like a stagnant point for the last sort of 8 years, but this is the point now where it's like everyone knows that this is the new digital age and this is how it should work.
Yeah.
And you know, you've got bands like Bring the Horizon that have jumped not only musically into the vast sense. Like they started as a pure death metal band and they're a pop band now. Do you know what I mean? They're accessible. They're Radio 1 material. But also their media, their social network is massive.
Yeah.
Because they know how to run a business. And people might be screaming now and going, that's not how music is, you gotta be true to yourself. It's like, it's a business, that's it, full stop. You know, 30, 40 years ago, if people had music they wanted to share, that's all they had to share, that's all people knew.
I mean, one of the things that we were talking about on video chat over Instagram, this thing what While She Sleeps have done, I mean, I know that subscription sites not a new thing. They've always been around. I mean, we subscribe to Sky TV, to Netflix, to Spotify, to iTunes, like.
Absolutely.
But using a platform like Patreon, for example, to fund a band's well-being and its existence, its sustainability. What are your opinions on that?
We used Pledge for Music before it went under recently. I was only made aware recently that Pledge for Music had disappeared because it was one of the biggest things in the UK and Europe at least, because in the US they had Patreon and stuff like that, which was like, you know, give $1, get $1's worth of fucking shit. Like that's how it works.
Yeah.
But the thing that really, when you take yourself out of this sort of communal pot and put yourself into your own little pot, that's like, oh well, now we're going to take it out of that realm of it being a community of different artists that are trying to raise money for their own shit and then put it in your own little thing and ask for money. Like, I think the public need to know that it costs nothing to record music anymore when you've got your own place, and it costs nothing to promote yourself. And
when you've got social media as a
and like,
I mean, that's a very powerful tool at the end of the day, isn't it?
It is, but the way that you portray your social media as well is like, you know, you could film like a 10-second clip, and you could film that 10-second clip with a very good videographer or yourself.
Yeah.
But is that even relevant now? Because you've got people who want to be models who can film something in like fucking 5 seconds, and people grab onto that quicker than they do music, and that's a battle. That's a battle that we're up against, because the platform started really well for music, but now it's becoming a personal platform for people who want to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, but I think we've just got a question. Let's have a look. So
there might be some more.
Oh, hang on, it's Oliver Greaves. So most of the big bands saturate the smaller bands, making a breakthrough, in my opinion. It's, I don't know. I mean, that's tough ground, isn't it?
They bring the money. Bigger artists will always bring the money, and that's not it is and it isn't fault of the hierarchy in the industry not. For example, download, and I'll say this like publicly to, I don't care how far this goes, like I fucking hate download because of the way that they keep regurgitating the same bands every fucking year. We've had Slipknot headline how many years? Not in a row. I know they have done it a few years in a row.
Yeah.
The first
3.
Longer than that. They've headlined it longer than 3 times in the last 10 years. Like nearly every year, it's been Slipknot on a Friday, and I'm just like.
I mean,
why?
I know that I've seen Iron Maiden.
Why?
I've seen Iron Maiden on that lineup 3 times.
Yeah, but to be fair, Iron Maiden rarely do many appearances in that. You can go in arena tours, you can go and see them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But in a festival sense, it's nice, you know, they turn up and stuff. But Slipknot are still a relevant, well, before the pandemic, they were a relevant touring band. You could go and see them anywhere when they eventually appeared. And they can put it down to like, you know, it's a business at the end of the day. That's how it works. But how many times can you see the same bands being regurgitated every fucking year? Do you know what I mean? When's the new blood gonna arrive? And I'm not talking in context of SikTh or Mask of Virtue or Aliases or anything like that. Like I'm talking about everyone else, because I see plenty of fucking good bands. Like me being a producer and engineer myself, and listening to it and just thinking, fuck, that shit can sell. But why is it not big news? And why do we have to resort to having Biffy Clyro, which I really like Biffy Clyro, why do we have Biffy Clyro on a Saturday night at Download when we could have some groundbreaking new alternate heavier bands that could bring the scene? And you know why the reason that is because they didn't have the opportunity that the other bands had in the past. So the other bands in the past had the opportunity to become massive and names, and because they got that name, because there wasn't such thing as, you know, extreme death metal, hardcore metal, or you know, pop, alternate pop and stuff like that. There wasn't that. It never existed. It was just fucking music.
The categories just sort of created themselves over the period of time.
Somebody wanted to segregate music, and I'm sorry, but like, genre is a stupid boundary. If you like music, you like music. Whatever you listen to, it doesn't matter what genre it is. The artists that I pay attention to more, and get this, as a metal musician, are the artists that don't class themselves as a genre. The ones that are pop artists that have a really big album, but I bet you 99% of the people across the world could only name you 3 songs off that album because they've been singles. Lady Gaga, for example, if you listen to her first and second album, there's some killer songs on there, and they could be rock, pop, jazz, new wave.
Isn't she a producer herself as well?
Yeah, she's songwritten a lot.
Yeah.
She's songwriting more than a production, but her songwriting's like, you know, next level. Same with Sia as well. Sia before she became a self, you know, a pop singer, she wrote a lot. Much like Gary Barlow's done with Take That.
Yeah.
Gary Barlow's done exactly the same.
Yeah.
He wrote a lot of songs for people. If you Google a lot of songwriting credits, you'll be surprised how many people you find that you think are just famous for being singers. And you'll realise that the industry's...
I wrote 2 Mask of Virtue songs once.
Adam wrote the lyrics for 2 Mask of Virtue songs, and we worked on them musically together, and they become like, you know, some rememberable shit for people in community that know us, and that's what it's like fucking meant.
And the last one that was played, I cried.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
You did.
I did cry.
Yeah, shed a tear, you did.
But not my highlight. But
yeah, but the thing is that the industry's so. I'll say this lightly. It's in. I don't know if it's incestuous or incestual. I don't know which word's right. It's so entwined with itself that you don't realise what people do. Like there aren't just. He's a singer, she's a singer, they're a band, they're a band. It doesn't work like that. People work in and out of the industry because it's such a fucking ball ache to try and pinpoint a
a producer.
A situation for yourself in the industry, like to be in a situation for yourself where you're happy with. It don't work like that. It doesn't work like that anymore because
I suppose people weave in and out as well because it's easier for them to be able to do the production, to do the recording, to be a singer, or to learn all the different instruments.
Yeah.
So just hold that thought a moment.
Yeah. Well, just hold on. Well, just hold down.
Go away.
I'm just tracking a band at the moment, and they're. I
think they're getting restless.
But yeah, no, like the industry is like, to sum up the whole the last comments and questions is that the industry is, before the pandemic, is, to be fair, the way that the pandemic's treated us has made everyone realise about media, marketing, online, the way that a band is perceived.
Yeah, we were just saying this the other day that this will make essentially a lot of companies. I mean, like you said, running a business. We've seen the likes of Debenhams, British Home Stores disappear. That was before. That was pre-pandemic, but
yeah, they were going anywhere.
Different clothing company. I think it was Debenhams, John Lewis. There's all sorts of different companies which have disappeared, have been bought out by companies that run purely online.
Online, yeah, exactly.
Because they've got no overheads. It's easier to market and distribute.
Yeah, it's the same with music. People think that music's sort of a, you're talented and that's the way you get in. No, it really isn't. The way that music works is, if you can sell a record, then you have got it. That doesn't mean you're a good musician or a bad musician. At all. Not in the slightest. I'm sure you could pick between your 5 songs that you think are really crap, but are really good at the same time because you can't help listening to them. Stick radio on.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I really hate that song, but I'm going to bounce around to it. It's like, yeah, whatever sells is good. It's exactly the same in any other industry. It is a business. Whatever sells will make. And if you watch all these sort of backstory films that are coming out now about Elton John, Queen, stuff like that,
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, and Rocket Man and stuff like that. It's true. The way that the record label guys are made out is exactly how they work, or at least how they used to work. They're kind of in a tight hole at the minute because they've got nothing to sell. Because there's so many people at it, they can't just pick someone up and go, I'm going to make you 100 grand. They can't promise that anymore because there's too many people. As soon as you saturate a market, not music, not genre, it doesn't matter genre wise. As soon as you saturate a market with how many people are in it, then it starts to cave in on itself. So it's like any other industry. Which garage do you go to get your fucking car fixed? Which place do you go to get your fucking, well, not now, that's pretty old, but photos developed and stuff. You don't get your photos developed anymore because you can get them stuck on your fucking iPhone, which is still one of the biggest selling handsets in the world, and you can do it yourself. So this is also a third aspect of it. First aspect is, you will have something that people will buy into because nobody else has it. The second aspect is, there's too many people doing it and too many people doing the business of it to know where you want to go. And there's a third aspect, which is you can just do it your fucking self. So if you can do it yourself, you've got that many options of people who can do it and are interested in the industry that's happening. It rules out fucking stage one, which is that you're going to be great at it and famous at it, which is like, people who say like, it's you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Yeah. Would have worked in 1985, but it's not like 1985 anymore. We've got a population problem, but not even in the sense that it's a population problem. It's that there's so many people now that are realising that they are good singers, they are good musicians, they can be an engineer, they can be a recording artist, they can be producers, they can do this, and the cost drops massively. it's like any business. It's like any other business. It will kill itself. It's just that it has a little bit of a different audience, which is everyone. Everyone likes music, regardless of what they like listening to.
It's, I suppose it's just tapping into the type that each specific person.
Which is another thing as well, because before,
like me and you, for example, me and you were talking about the While She Sleeps song "Nervous" featuring Simon Neil. That for me, I mean, hits a lot of feel good like things when I listen to it.
It's a good tune, and you know what? In itself, the song will appeal to a lot of people. To me personally, the song is, you know, on a musical standpoint, for them wanting to push a boundary is not that great. And I wouldn't mind saying that to them myself. I'd just be like, look, I think you guys could have gone in this direction, but it went in this direction. But this is the problem. It's my perspective on it. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. But there's that many people in the world that now they have the ability to dive into their own musical taste, whereas before they were given a musical taste and that's all they had to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, let's go back to, you know, 70s, 60s. It was either rock and roll or blues, or, you know, it was basic. You could count it on less than two hands.
I think it was. You know what I mean? You got your punk era, which I think materialised around about 60s, did it?
60s leading to 70s. 60s and 70s were like
rock and roll, rockabilly.
And it fused, like late 70s was like the pure punk. It were like, all right, we've got this here now, let's do it. But punk's always been political. That's why it made a stand.
Yeah.
So because punk was a political thing, everyone bought into it because it was like, yeah, I feel this way about it as well. Whether they actually fucking like the music or not is completely irrelevant. Because they were just standing for something.
It made a standing point.
Yeah, it just made a point. Like, people always refer back to Sex Pistols. The reason why they were a big band, they actually made no sense politically at all. They didn't even know what they stood for. All they just did was say, oh yeah, by the way, we just don't agree with this. Great, what's your opinion? Well, we don't know, we just fucking shout a lot. But that started a revolution of bands that actually did the research, and you know what I mean? It's wonderful. Yeah. But we haven't got that anymore. We're getting to a point in humanity where nobody really knows if anything's real, if anything's not real. It's like where does the genre of music, where does it go? And it's done. All it does is it keeps splitting. It started like this, like a beam, like that, but it spread across the population like that, and now it's doing this, like little directions, and it segregates people like this in different ways.
Because you've got so many different subgenres.
Yeah, you got so many
within main genres now as well.
Yeah.
It's just like tree roots essentially.
Exactly.
So I mean, obviously we've heard about obviously your time with your bands, your etc. So I mean, what are the next steps for you musically? I mean, we know that you're working on new Mask of Virtue stuff. What's going to be the main focus?
For me at the minute, and what everyone should have done from day one who was in music, instead of sitting back and waiting for things to get back to normal, you should find a different career path. You should find something that is going to keep you alive, because music was never going to keep you alive from day one forever. Full stop. Like, the end. And people might argue and say, oh, you're fucking wrong, there's always this, that, and other. And it's like, yeah, but like in any job, everyone's replaceable and anything can happen.
Yeah.
And that's testament to this fucking pandemic. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I walked away from music a long time ago in its live sense. I'm lucky that I've got this space to record music and do shit. I'm lucky because I've had my family help me, put money into it. I've put my own money into it. It's been half and half experience, and I use it to my advantage to do my own thing in it. It doesn't cost me anything. It's just there, which is great. And a lot of people have that now. They can have their own little recording setups, and it's becoming more of a vast, community of people.
Yeah.
Which is why Ramesh, who produced, co-produced Bring Me the Horizons.
Oh, Ammo.
Yeah.
That was the gold, weren't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's and even he's set up a community, and you know what? As I hope he's watching. If he isn't, then
Well, I mean, we can always catch up with him at some point anyway.
But no, like he might agree. Like the recording game has been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
But trying to push the ideas that we learn as engineers, recording artists, musicians, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that idea, pushing it onto other people, and a community of people that can come together to, sort of blossom in it together is better, because before it was very like everyone was kind of against each other. Like, I can do better than you, or oh, I've got this equipment, and blah blah blah. And Ramesh is kind of cutting that stigma and just like, oh yeah, well we've got this community where everyone can just share their ideas and appreciate everything that we do.
Is that the control room?
Yeah, control room.
Yeah.
It's really good, and it's worth its weight in gold. Like it really is. But this, on a skeptical point of that, it kind of, that is also killing the industry, because there is no certain place to go now, because everyone's so close. It becomes a certain taste, so you go to the person that you feel that can reflect your music as you want it to be, but you have to go through 10 people before you get there. Whereas before you didn't really have a choice. It was like 2 or 3 different people that you try and dive into as a band and be like, well, we want to go with so and so because they make music like this. Now you've got every Tom, Dick and Harry in every city, every county that's good at it, and what you want depends on their portfolio. But yeah, it's all a bit strange. The industry is a bit strange now. Even the industry doesn't know where it stands.
I completely agree with that.
And the weird thing is, the industry especially when the pandemic came, the industry just went. Literally, everyone thinks that everyone has a plan. The industry just went, sorry guys, doors closed. And we just went, shit. And that's why you've got to keep grafting through it. I took a delivery job. I'm happy with my delivery job. It's working out well. Really enjoy it. I write music in my own time, in my own space. Just wherever you can access music in your spare time, do it. But make sure that it doesn't overcome your quality of life. Yeah. Where to the point where you're depressed about the fact that you're not making music, but you're also living hand to mouth, and then complain at the fact that your life's gone to shit. That's bollocks. If you put your whole life into a business that relies on luck, it does. It relies on luck. It doesn't matter how good you are, because you have to sell that music to people. You've got to have something sellable. It doesn't matter how good you are. There are plenty of good musicians. That is the problem and the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. It's not only the best thing, it's the worst thing. There's too many people at it, just like any other industry. But this is different, because there's too many people that can sing, that can be a musician, that are really good, that can pick anything up. And there's that many resources around now naturally without paying money. If I'd have had this if I were a kid now, I wouldn't need guitar lessons. I'd just turn around and go, I can play guitar, because I've just fucking found 40 courses online that can do it for no. 20 years has made a lot of difference.
Oh yeah.
So you got to stick with whatever makes you happy is what you stick with. The minute that whatever makes you happy makes you sad, you should stop.
Yeah.
That is it.
I mean obviously it's some great opinions, and obviously it's great for you to share that with us. So obviously you've got a band to finish tracking.
Yes.
So we'll get them back into the studio.
We're on it.
One more thing just before we do go, Mask of Virtue's new album.
Yes.
Have we got any sort of idea? Yeah, as to snigger just means that no.
No, I've got a time frame.
Yeah, I've got a time
How
frame.
about that? How about that? I've got a time frame.
You've got a time frame.
I have.
Right.
When it's done.
Right. And we're not having like any potential title leak or anything like that yet. I'm guessing we don't know yet. I do know that one of your tracks is called In Blue.
Alright, so,
and I know that that's very personal.
Alright, so the colour blue. How about that? That's the only thing. The colour blue is the only thing that matters for this album.
Right, okay.
For you guys,
we'll leave it
for
at
anyone
that
that's bothered.
hopefully we'll see you at Beanfest.
Hopefully, if it goes ahead. I hope it does.
Well, it should be. As I'm aware anyway. And yeah, we'll look forward to listening to some more stuff and hopefully get some of the old guys such as like Tom Watling, guys from Bleed From Within, well, hopefully like Loz Taylor maybe, if he's up for it. Get some other guys and get them to share their opinions as well and directions.